Hello everyone, Jake here. Today we're going to turn two bowls. One's going to have stabilized pine cones in it and one is going to have non-stabilized pine cones. The one I have here, we call it the clown bowl, has non-stabilized, and the copper bowl here has stabilized pine cones in it. We're going to see if it's worth all the trouble to stabilize them. There's two other videos on these bowls. One of them is stabilizing the pine cones and the other one is on a live show. We actually made the blanks. So I'll link those below. Go check them out. Everything I use in this video I'll have below, so you can go check it out and compare and contrast and all that. What I'm doing here is I'm just flattening off this side here. The bowl is in the cold jaws right now and it's held in with the tailstock. It's pretty steady like that, but the cold jaws aren't the most steady thing to use, so I'm just flattening this off so I can flip it around and put this side in the cold jaws, and then I'm going to put a mortise in it, and that way I can get the regular jaws on it and be as safe as I can. So I'll talk about this Easy Wood chuck for a second. It's super awesome, way convenient, very fast. As you'll see, I'll take these cold jaws off real fast and then put the other ones on there. Super convenient. It's one of those deals where a lot of time is saved doing this, and it makes you feel pretty confident using it. I will put some links below to Amazon for some Easy Wood tool stuff. But I get this thing put on the chuck, and now it's going to be way more stable. I will put the tailstock up there until I'm ready to start hollowing out the center, and then just kind of get the shape that we want. And then when I get close, I'm going to go real slow with the cutters to make sure I don't mess up the pine cones, and then while we're there, we'll go ahead and see what we need to repair. Here's the moment of truth. I get to see how many of these pine cone pods I get to fix, and I'm looking through here. I'm pretty close to the shape I want, and as you can see here, I found a few. This entire experiment came because of a conversation I had with Zach Higgins. If you're watching my channel, you've probably seen his channel, but if not, I'll link a card above and a link below in the description to Zach's channel. Go check him out. When it comes to hollowing the bowl out, I pretty much did the same thing I did on the outside of it. I kind of roughly got the shape that I wanted, and then I slowly went over a couple last times just with the sharp tool, just to make sure that I'm not chipping things out, and it came out pretty well on the inside. There was only a couple things to fix. So when it comes to fixing these things, I just got some brown Star Bond with some activator, and I put it in there, and it worked pretty well. Hindsight, I have some UV resin from Lumelite I should have used. I'll have links to it below. Jake 10 at checkout will save you 10% out anything on Lumelite. But hindsight's always 20/20, and I really should have done that. I think it would have been better, or at least less messy in the long run. So this stuff worked out pretty good. I'm gonna show you the sanding, and then we'll get to the second bowl. I have a sanding video on how to sand resin to look like glass. I'll link it below, but the basic points of it is I'll sand this to 1000 and then use some Yorkshire grit or abrasive paste, and that just takes the haze off of it, and it pretty much polishes it out. But then after that, I get the buffing wheels and I buff it with the buffing wheels. It turns out super cool. I am going to try different kind of techniques in the future, but I was already doing one experiment with this project. I didn't want to do a sanding experiment too. I do have buffing wheels that go on the lathe, and you'll see that at the end of the video, and it'll get the outside of the bowl, but it won't get the inside of the bowl. So I have these buffing wheels that I put right on the drill, and I use the same compounds that I use on the one that hooks to the lathe. Works out super cool. You just have to make sure you're not hitting the bowl with the drill. It works out super good, and you don't have to worry about getting the inside And then we're going to flip this thing back around, put it in the coal jaws, and then I'm going to cut the bottom, sand the bottom, and do the whole sanding thing again with Yorkshire grit and buffing. So here we go. Let's get to the second bowl, and I'm going to skip right to the part where we see where it needs to be repaired. I wasn't really close to the final shape like I was on the last bowl, and it was really obvious that I needed to fill these with something, so I picked the thin CA. I was just trying to fill it to get it to soak in there and kind of stabilize it that way. Once again, hindsight's 2020. UV resin probably would have been a good choice too, but I used the Starbond thin and put it in there. Put some activator on it, but I did give it time to dry, and then went ahead and turned it some more. It did help a little bit, but this stuff was going to tear up no matter what. During the live shows, when we make these bowls, these turning blanks, the crowd that's in the chat gets to pick the colors, and they sure did knock this one out of the park. It's super cool colors. As far as repairing it, I got it down to the final shape, and then I pretty much just put brown Starbond super glue in every single pod, and it turned out okay in the end, but it's a lot to do. So all of it got filled in, and then I went ahead and I was careful to sand to not knock anything else out. I went ahead and sanded the whole thing back down to 1,000, and then did the buffing just like before, and then we'll show you the end result here.
You made it to the end of the video. Thank you for that. Go ahead and watch this video right here next.